Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Yeah, it's reveal season, so we got new cards. I was actually kind of expecting Gwen to be released, but as I went onto YouTube and saw the video there, and lo and behold, it's a premiere instead. So I guess we're getting Gwen tomorrow. I guess in the meantime though, we can take a look at sorry. Take a look at some of the other cards that have been revealed. And I do apologize in advance if my coughing gets too unbearable. I am a little sick right now, if you couldn't tell. But that's besides the point. Let's jump right into it. And the first card of today is Royal Decree. Now, Royal Decree, 3 mana, focus speed. Give an ally +2/+2 and challenger this round, or summon an Honored Lord. An Honored Lord is this. 2 mana, 3/2. First time I challenge an enemy, give me barrier. How good is this? How good is this? Give an ally +2/+2 and challenger. I mean, I think what really makes this card great is flexibility. You generally in Runeterra, if you have the option to do multiple things in one card, then that card is viable or at least decent. I think Telstones is a pretty good example of that, where even like some of the worst Telstones can be kind of viable, except for maybe Bandle City. Bandle City Telstones are trash, but all the other Telstones are at least viable. In like, or you could put a one of in your deck and be happy with it. But I think on Royal Decree might actually be better. In the fact that Challenger is such a powerful keyword, man, and giving something 2/2 and Challenger at focus speed, that's pretty good. Or like with the burst speed attacker, with Honored Lord, that can be pretty good. I think this card has a lot of potential. I think it. Wow, I'm impressed. I didn't actually expect a good Demacian card to be printed, but here we are. Anyways, next card, Moral Support, because that is exactly what Shen needs. Moral Support. 4 mana, burst speed card. Costs 2 less if you have supported an ally this game. Give an ally barrier this round. Wait, do you just run Warships now? No, think about it. Don't you just run Warships with Shen? You just run Warships with Shen. I see this as an absolute win. Warships can actually be viable now. I mean, like, you think of all the other support cards in Demacia that would pair well with Shen, and you only really think of Warships. So maybe you get out of Demacia with this. I don't know. Maybe you're able to like flex out of Demacia with the inclusion of this barrier card, but I don't really know why would you, because Challenger is such a really good keyword with barrier, and we all know the best challengers are in Demacia. So I don't really see Shen going outside of Demacia anytime soon. So definitely, I would honestly say that this is a Warships buff as well as a Shen buff, because it actually creates a reason why you would want to play Warships. Hey, sounds pretty good to me. And then Kinku's Student, a 2 mana, 3/1. When another ally gets barrier, give me barrier this round if I don't have. Now wait, does this mean? Does this mean like? Okay, so you place barrier on something, and it gives this barrier. It attacks, it loses barrier. Does that mean it can get barrier again? This round. Give me barrier this round if I don't have it. I think it's only for one round, right? Because it says this round. Right wording, you will kill me once more. I'm going to assume that it is. I'm going to assume that it is only for one round. And in that case, it's a decent card. It is a little awkward though. Like, you look at some of the barrier cards that already exist. Like the best thing I can think of that occurs well with it would be Green Fang Warden. I mean, Shen obviously, especially with his new buff, can curve well with it, but that's like a turn late. Bright Steel Protector could work, but like, And then you have like green. You could do Green Glade Caretaker, play it, and then play Prismatic on it. I mean, but that seems like such a waste, right? I think this card's a little awkward. Yeah. This card's a little awkward, I must say. But maybe it sees play. Maybe it sees play. It could be possible. Like, it levels up Shen a lot easier. But then again, you don't really play Shen for his level up, do you? You mostly play him for the barrier. And the barriers that he gives. The extra protection. Yeah. I mean, I think this card, if there's a good curve with this card, I think it could turn out really well for a Shen deck. But I think it might be a little bit too awkward, unfortunately. Maybe just a bit too awkward. Alright, and then we have 3-mana burst speed, Scavenge Camo Cloaker. Grant an ally elusive, and draw next strike, draw 1. So this is Stumpwork Map combined with Pickpocket, basically. How good is that? Usually the grant elusive doesn't really matter. You see, granting elusive, especially in Piltover, in the past hasn't seen a lot of play, like Support's Map. Like, this is like a Support's Max that costs 1 more, but you can get draw 1. Problem is, Piltover doesn't have a lot of things that protect your units. And so basically you're giving your unit something and are unable to protect it, which is a lot of the reason why Support's Map didn't really see a lot of play. So I see this falling into the very same weaknesses of Support Map. With that being said, though, usually Support's Map is something like, okay, I want to finish the game, right? This one, you can argue, is more for value. So, if you put it on something that's hard to kill, and then you Nexus Strike, then you can draw. That could be pretty good. Honestly, actually, I think the Nexus Strike draw 1 is the most appealing thing about this card. This becomes a draw engine. Yeah. I mean, you can interact with it, but like, if you choose the right target and if you pair the right region to protect it, it just becomes a draw engine. That could be kind of scary. I'd be like, that's like more so than just elusive damage hitting base. It is opponent getting value from hitting my base. That could be really scary, actually. I don't know the power level of this card generally, but I think this has the potential to be a very scary draw engine. I think that's a fair assessment, that that has the possibility to be a very, very frightening draw engine if paired in the right regions. a little concerned about this card. All right, and then we have Mikhail's Blessing. 3 mana burst speed. It's an item for League. Grant an ally +1/+2, and remove all negative keywords from it. Negative keywords, that would be Frostbite, Silence, Ephemeral, Stun? But would you run this? This is a very reactive card. And it's very matchup dependent, because some decks don't have negative keyword as removal. So like this, I think this card falls under very meta dependent. I would hazard to guess that you'll be more likely to see this card in tournament settings than on ladder. This card seems to be printed to counter a niche and not much else, because like grant +1/+2 is really bad on a 3-cost spell. Like, you're not running this card for that effect. You're running it for negative keywords are removed. And even then, it might be a bit too expensive for that. So it's like, maybe if this was 2 mana. But I think this card is too weak at 3 mana. Yeah, this one's too weak. Too weak. Too weak! Oh yeah, and then we have all the husks. Hardy Husk. These are tokens. That's right. We saw the Spell Shield one for Shurima. We have the tough one from Demacia. We have the elusive one from Ionia. Oops. And then we have... Oh, we have more. Desperate Husk. From Noxus. Freljord. And Targon. I honestly thought that Targon would... I mean, it makes sense that Shurima has Spell Shield, but I think you could make a case for Targon also being Spell Shield. But I think Fury is a cool one. Interesting. It's hard you can't really evaluate these cards because we don't know what spawns them or how they're spawned, or if you have to play them, or if they're summoned and whatnot. Because if they're like, there's just so many variables that are unaccounted for, so it's really hard to figure out where these cards are coming from. But if I were to hazard a guess, and I think this is a pretty easy guess, these are all Evelyn cards or Evelyn tokens. Maybe she has specific cards that summon these specific tokens that are like, maybe she's like a Runeterra card and she has a lot of her archetype in these different regions that summon these tokens. I think that's what's happening here. Yeah, where a bunch of her unique cards in which she shares a region with, have their region in these colors. So like Hardy Husk is from there's a Demacian card that spawns Hardy Husk, and then there's an Ionian card that spawns Fading Husk. I think that's what's going on here. That could be pretty powerful, but that's all speculation. Speculation, purely. Next up, we have Frozen in Fear. Alright, 4 mana slow speed. Frostbite an enemy. Alright. Summon a Rhyme Bang. Granted +1/+1 for each time you frost. Isn't that not the mother, but the... Oh, it's this card. That's right. And it has Overwhelm. Granted, +1/+1. Let's go. What's the most comparable card to this? Summon a minion for 4 mana while doing something to interact with your opponent. I guess that would be Tentacle Slam. Yeah, that's very similar to Tentacle Slam. Though obviously way weaker. This card is way weaker than Tentacle Slam. But it has a higher ceiling. Like, it's a lot easier to frostbite enemies than it is to keep your tentacle up on the board. But then at the end of the day, it just gets vengeance, right? I mean, though, a big threat that you spawn for 4 mana that ends up getting vengeance, are you even mad about that? I don't think you're even mad about that. This could end games on its own. Yeah, this card could probably end games on its own. Hey, it could be a very good card. Depends on how the meta shapes out for Ash. Cracked Ice. Grant an enemy frostbite me and at the next round start. Wait. This is like sapling. Right? Yeah, it's like sapling toss. Summon a sapling at the next round start, except sapling is way better than this. I'm sorry. Hey, come on. Sapling is just way better than this. I mean, Frostbite's a powerful effect, but power behind Frostbite is its immediateness. You immediately set their attack to 0. Not set up for the next turn sort of deal. In order for this to be really good, you have to be really, really deep into Ash. And at that point, you may be going too deep. You know what I mean? You might be going too deep. This really seems like a win more card in certain situations. Yeah, I don't think this card is all that good at all. Maybe it sees play. But I'm inclined to think that it will never see play. And I probably will never play. It'll be just one of those cards I never craft. We have a 6-mana Yeti. Captive Yeti. 5/5 overwhelm. Reputation. I cost 3. I cost 3. So you get a 3 cost reduction for a Yeti. And in a Yeti deck, where all the Yetis are 5 power, that is very low. All Yetis except for like 1. But that's still very, very likely to proc. The question is, though, is it better than this Yeti? Is it better than Ancient Yeti? Maybe you run both. I don't know. I feel like, okay, hear me out. I don't feel like you want to run both Ancient Yeti and Captive Yeti. Reason being that if you start with both of them in your hand, it could be very awkward. Maybe you run a 2 of them each, or maybe even a 1 of them each, but like, I feel like if you run both of them, you have a real big chance of clogging up your hand with expensive Yetis. So I would honestly maybe run Captive Yeti over Ancient Yeti, because you're like, if you're playing a Yeti deck, you're already in Noxus. So why not run Captive Yeti instead? I was already like hesitant to put Ancient Yeti in my Yeti deck because of how awkward it is. This one just seems like a less awkward Ancient Yeti. So I think that's where the strength of this card really lies with the Captive Yeti. It's basically just a less awkward Ancient Yeti. Is that everything? No. We still have this one card. Solari Stellacorn. 5 mana 4/6. Daybreak. Heal all allies 3. Now, wait. Hold up a gosh darn minute. Sorry, my spelling is poor. How can you do this? Riot? They recently buffed this card, Respended Stellacorn. To play, heal an ally, and your Nexus 3. And they made it a 5/6. And then they went and printed this card and said, nope. Heal, this conditional effect is too strong. -1 attack. Is it, like, this is almost this, basically. In fact, I would much rather have the extra stat. If I was running a Stellacorn in the first place, I would much rather have the attack at 5 than to have the attack at 4 with a conditional effect that has the possibility to heal more things. Because most often or not, you have only like 1 or 2 things you want to heal on your board. I think this is a miss. But maybe they just didn't want to power creep this card after they just buffed it. That could be it. Could be it. I mean, that kind of makes sense. Still not happy about it. It's obviously an extremely weak card. And not going to help Daybreak at all. It's just a little silly to me. But yeah, that's all the cards revealed today. I'm actually kind of excited for these 3 cards. I think these 3 cards really stand out to me. Potential wise, I think that these cards might spawn new creative thinking or deck building, and I'm interested to try that out. Other cards are like it's hard or impossible to really gauge. The husks, without seeing what spawns them and how they respond, or if they're spawned at all, if they're play. So it's like, we'll see. These might be the most busted cards, and we just don't realize it yet. But yeah, that's basically my reactions. If you enjoyed what you've seen, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.